Hello everyone. We stay at home, but we go on. This is how we can translate our edition of Stăm acasă, dar continuăm, that you already know. And I have invited today Mr. Zahal LEVY, President of MediHelp International. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
We are each of us at his own home because this is the situation, but we work and we also want to know about MediHelp and how the company and you and the management is dealing with the current situation. So how is MediHelp doing it in these difficult times?
Well, the first thing that happened is that we have saw the unbelievable sensation of our customers, of our employees, our managers, all going home and working from there. You have the very interesting sensation of a relationship where you have a conversation with your manager and suddenly a face of a baby comes in or a face of a dog comes in. And that's, of course, a new feature in our world. This is a little bit different from what we are used to and very, very unusual. But we learned to function like this. We are all in contact. We have a daily meeting, managers meeting on the Zoom, Skype, whatever in the morning. And then we start analyzing the situation. And I found out that there is a lot of nice things. There are a lot of nice things in this situation. People have discovered new features and new ways of communicating and new ways of working. And it's not so bad and it's not so impossible. And our company has a little bit of an advantage going into this crisis because we've already been very flexible of working from home, of what you call remote employment. We've let people work from home also before. And we've let people go home on flexible hours. We are not measuring hours of employees in the company. We never did. We are performance-oriented. Let's say we are output-oriented company and not input-oriented company. So in that respect, there isn't a very, very big change in the ideas of going home, other than the babies and the dogs that are now a part of our life, but also that we welcome with a smile.
Do you think that in the future we will work from home more often than we used to? Even in your company, you said that you have implemented this policy of work from home. But do you think that after this crisis, your team will work from home more often?
I don't want to say yes or no, give it a very definitive answer, because these things have to be a case-to-case approach analysis. Look, somebody has to be in the company, somebody has to take deliveries from Amazon, and we cannot say yes to every type of employment when it comes to remote working. However, I think that if we have situations that people will want to work from home and that they can show that they can keep their performance, reach their targets in a quality way, I don't think we should object, as long as there is communication and that we understand each other. And when the processes of work do necessitate appearances in the office, then we should ask for it. I think flexibility is the name of the game. We will have to be flexible in the future, not only about the working from home features. There should be probably more features that we will need to be flexible about. Work from home will have to be one of them. But I guess we will have to get used to many, many changes and many things that will not be the same as they were.
This is pretty true, and this influences everyone. How do you think that the current situation will influence people's attitude towards health insurance products? Because we know this is your specialty, and we know that in Romania, the health insurance products have been developing lately during the past years. But how do you think this trend will develop after this COVID-19 crisis?
Personally, I think we have no choice but to support health insurance as a main industry in health. Otherwise, we will not be able to receive service and we will not be able to take care of our health if this will not happen. You have to understand that after this crisis, if there is such a thing as post-crisis time, this Corona story is going to be staying with us for a long time. We will find a beaten down and torn health system, under-budgeted. It was before unbudgeted, under-budgeted. I don't know if the people in Romania are aware that the yearly investment per inhabitant in Romania for health was just about 450 euros per year, whereas, for example, in Germany, it's 4,500 euros per year. Can you imagine what you can do with 450 euros per year per person for health? Just imagine if you just call and ask for a doctor's appointment, this is the price. So I think it's about time we all recognize that the system was not working well before. You could not get proper system before, proper service before in the healthcare systems, in the hospitals. There were delays, queues, low standards of management in many cases, corruption, unfortunately, in many cases, brain drainages, inefficiency factor, and under budgeting. All this was the situation of arriving to the current crisis. So imagine what is waiting for us after. It will take years to fix.
Now the system is overwhelmed, so...
Yeah, I think it's time that the government will tell the people of Romania the truth. That if they want to have better service, there will be no escape from paying taxes that are going to support and match the level of service that we all want. And therefore, the health insurance industry can be a very good catalyst for this, because it implies that if you have a health insurance policy, you can go to private healthcare and get service, and we pay for it. By doing so, the private providers of medical care will grow, and there will be less and less people visiting the healthcare systems. So it's a win-win situation. The private healthcare will grow and pay taxes to the state for profits. The health insurance systems will grow, prosper, make profits, and pay to the state taxes on those profits. So there will be less visitations or patients on the national system, and more income and industry growth and new jobs and higher benchmarks. We know very well that the private healthcare is producing benchmarks. Look what happened to Regina Maria under the management of Dr. Enayati. Look what happened to Sanador. Look what happens to MedLife. Many big enterprises has grown to enormous sizes. Very nice service they are giving, and they are making profits, and they are paying taxes to the state. So a completion of this with health insurance will support the system and relieve the state with the unbelievable task that it has to cater for so many people on such a low budget. That's impossible. So we will have to face a new situation after, where health insurance can be a very positive factor in the growth and change that we are all looking for.
So we can now all think about health insurance as maybe even mandatory, evidently more useful than the motor, and other insurance that we think about at the first call when we talk about insurance products. So health insurance is now what we can call the future mandatory insurance for people.
You know, I want to tell you something. I hate to when I talk about things that are regarding the situation in Romania, I usually hate to give examples because it shows Romania in not very good light compared to other countries. And I don't like this because I think highly about Romania. There are wonderful things about this country and about its development. Unlike the Romanians, I see in a more positive light the situation. I didn't think the situation in Romania was so bad before the crisis. And I think that Romania will be dealing with the crisis in a very, very good way in the future. The situation is not so bad. But this time I cannot help it, because in the developed countries in the West, health insurance is almost a mandatory factor. I am an Israeli, I come from Israel. In my country, the situation of the healthcare is considered okay.
Yes, you are
I
an
don't think,
example.
I don't think it's brilliant, but I think it's a reasonable stage. And yet, the state is encouraging the purchasing of private health insurance. There are tax reliefs for this. You can buy this for the employees, and the tax relief is not limited as it is in Romania to 400 and something euros. Doesn't matter how much the company pays for private health insurance, it will be tax deductible for the employer. Such is the situation in other countries. If you go to Germany, to France, to England, Japan, Australia, South Africa, Canada, and other places, health insurance is not mandatory, but people see it as a must and they purchase it on their own free will. And by that, they are discharging and reducing the load on the government. And so the government has more resources to allocate means to parts of the population who cannot afford to buy health insurance on their own money. It may be not going well with social philosophy, but it's going well with the reality, because we don't want to come to a situation that we are like the United States, where if you don't have money, you don't have any chance to get healthcare. This is not a good example.
Yes.
And we don't want to come to a situation that healthcare is free for everybody, but then you cannot, the government cannot afford to give everybody healthcare like it is now in Romania. So the right solution is to have at least those people who can afford it. And the more people who will afford it, it will be easier to afford. The more people will go on board and buy health insurance, the cheaper it will be. And there is no other solution. Please understand this. There is this, I can show this with statistics in my head. Many, many conversations with the leaders of your country, ministers of health, and the CNEASE and others, to show the case that there is the only real way to have the health system grow healthy is to support health insurance and not leave us alone in this battle.
Yes, it's quite a speech for the sustainability of the health system that you gave us, and very viable, I might say. Coming back to the situation in Romania, and especially to the insurance market and MediHelp's role in it, what new projects, partnership, maybe even products does MediHelp have, and how do they help in this time of crisis, maybe, or the post-crisis stage?
We are going now into two directions. First of all, we are negotiating with some technological company to introduce home device and remote medical care, where you can have in your house some equipment where you can transmit to a doctor or to a call center your medical parameters, such as your blood pressure, your heartbeat, your temperature, and other features. And the doctor can give you an initial evaluation to avoid you from leaving your house with your children or in minus 10 degrees in the winter to a hospital when it's not really needed. We are in advanced negotiations, and a pilot of the first equipment is now being started. We're doing this in 3 countries. The second thing is that we have we introduced a new plan that is to cover cancer care risks. That is to secure that if a patient has cancer, we know very well that this illness is very violent and a life-changing experience. The customers do not know where to go. They hear conflicting opinions, and sometimes they cannot get into the queue of getting the right attention in Romania.
And they don't have enough time to wait for it.
And time matters, correct. And we will have a specialized, inexpensive plan that can give you, first of all, a cash benefit. So you have the money to navigate within your own system. Some people are losing, they cannot continue to work, or they have huge amount of expenses for second opinion or for life changes that they have to afford, taking care of children, sometimes flights to get medical care abroad, and we shall cover a great amount of this need. This is a very progressed plan that you can actually choose to get service, operations, reconstruction if, for example, breast cancer or other features in other countries, in Western Europe or in Israel or the United States, depends on the level of care you buy. And so we know very well, cancer is a little bit not in the news now, but we know very well that just to give you a touch of this, if a lady will have breast cancer and she will need to choose to go on a private basis and take care of her medical needs, such as operations, reconstruction, chemotherapy, psychiatric care, medication, and other things on a private basis in the next 2-3 years, she might need to pay something like 300,000 to 500,000 euros from her pocket in order to afford this. Or queue up in the hospital, and then we know that some of the experiences there are not very pleasant. Our policy ensures you that you can have both the financial means to afford the processes that can secure or increase the chances that the patient will be able to win the war, win the fight over the disease, have the money for it, and have the access to the best places around Europe where he can be processed in case he cannot find the answer within his own habitat. That's a second project. Other than that, partnerships and expansion plans, new markets, new products. Well, all the plans that MediHelp are selling now to customers have been homemade. We are good, I think, in establishing in the market, understanding the needs, adapting to the local flavor, let's call it like this, or price range. And we are all the time busy with developing new approaches, new partnerships, and new plans. Some of them will be introduced early next year. And of course, I will keep you posted when this comes.
We'll be happy to hear about them and publish them as well, of course. I would end with a final question regarding to the customers, because we all know that the customers are the ultimate public that we care about. So how do you think that this COVID crisis will change the way they analyze a health insurance policy? Will they pay more attention to what it includes and what it does not include? Will they be more specific when mentioning the needs they have from a health insurance product? Do you think that this period, this hard period, will help to grow the level of education of Romanian people when it comes to health insurance products?
Yes, I think the dialogue we have with our customers during these days, we see that customers are very, very oriented to keep their policy, keep the payment for the policy. And I think, look, I don't want to sound neither arrogant or sure of myself, because we know that life is full of surprises. But modestly and carefully, I would like to say that we regard the existing crisis as a very, very impressive show for the importance of health insurance. Because not only that in this time, at least, we are still covering the COVID-19 risks, although I don't think that the real crisis and the COVID-19 sensation is still understood very well. I think I love it that there's so many analyses about the COVID and commentaries and articles. Actually, the best article and the best phrase about the COVID-19, we still don't know what it is. This is the reality.
We still study.
We are still studying this, and it is still a learning experience, and I suggest that we all keep careful and modest regarding our understanding of the situation. But the more this crisis will be heavy on the health systems of the state, the more the customer or the citizen will find it hard to get service, even for the usual things. Leave out the coronavirus sensations. So if you know somebody that needs to have a cardiac operation now, or an oncological care, he goes to the hospital, he will find that the hospitals are a little bit more busy, let's say carefully, than before. So I think everybody understands that if you have health insurance, you must keep it. If you don't have health insurance, my personal advice is that you buy one. I'm happy to see that also doctors and professors that we know started to ask for us for offers, and they are buying health insurance policies. And it was
That's a
very
very good
surprising.
example. The self
Yes,
example is the best one.
yes. And I asked, you know, it was very interesting because you tend to think that if a big professor, and of course I cannot mention names, but if a big professor needs medical care, he turns to his own hospitals, and then you find out that the professors in the hospitals do not really want to go back to their employees or their subordinates and ask them to treat them. So they have a friend abroad, or they have a friend in another private hospital, so they can go there and maybe this friend will not charge money from them, but the hospitalization and the medication and the operating theater costs a lot of money. And for that they will have to pay. And if they have to pay, they will have to pay from their own pocket. So that can be a very, very expensive feature. So you can see that doesn't matter who you are. You may always be in a situation that you need medical care. And when you need medical care for yourself, for your wife, for your children, or for your employee, you want to make sure that that medical care is being given to you now in the best medical care standards and the professionalism that you can think of. Everybody wants to be treated by the best. And that unfortunately sometimes costs a lot of money.
Well, yes, this is all true, and in this period we are all thinking more about our health than we used to, because this is the time of crisis that we're passing through. But let's keep in mind that we have an important lesson to learn from this, and thank you very much for pointing out the important aspects of this lesson. It was a pleasure having you as invited to our special edition. We hope we end it soon and we have the offline editions back. So we'll be waiting for you in our studio at Extreme as well.
Thank you very much. I want to send from here where I am very loving and warm regards to the state of Romania, which I love so much, and I have a lot of years of investing and carrying out big projects in your country. I think you should be proud of your country with all the problems. You're one of the best nations and the best developing countries, and I'm really, really proud and I love to be a part of the new history that is being written during the time I'm there. So thank you very much for the opportunity of having me today.
Thank you very much and have a lovely day.
All the best.